Oh, it's been a long week. So I'm so glad that it's Friday. Um, and I did not go live on Wednesday, but I've been working on some projects and working on things to try to get them done, to give out to you guys, to give you guys some more value and information to help you with fueling your body for nutrition, especially if you are somebody that's plant-based. So I hope that you guys really enjoy things that I've been working on when they are released soon. But anyways, today's Friday, so tonight I'm going to do a little Q&A. So that means that I'm just going to answer any questions that you may have about plant-based eating or nutrition for athletes, or if you are active and just not sedentary either, but you're interested in knowing how to fuel your body the right way. This is perfect for you. So definitely join, ask your questions, just type your questions in, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. So if you are on and you are joining, let me know you're here, wave, give me a thumbs up. I see one thumbs up, yay! Which is awesome. So let me know that you're here, that you're watching, and if you have any questions, as I said, just type them in and I'm going to try my best to answer them. But as we're, sort of waiting a little bit to see if anybody else is going to join this live, I see a couple people, not too many, that's okay. But I do have a couple questions I want to talk about that I actually just recently went over with a new client of mine, which is super, super exciting. But one of the questions that was asked was about eating, what about potassium? So this question was about potassium. So this person is training for a marathon and is vegan, right? So he's plant-based and he's not sure about how he's going to get his potassium, which definitely is important, right? Because it's an electrolyte, it's important for your muscles, recovery, muscle cramps, right? It's all important for those things, especially because it's an electrolyte, right? You're sweating, you lose a lot, you need to replace your electrolytes. So potassium, right, is something that runners should make sure that they have, athletes need, right? So he asked me, well, I don't like bananas, so what potassium sources can I get? Which is a very good question, because a lot of us, right, we only think that we can get potassium from bananas, but what if you don't like bananas? Well, that doesn't mean that you can't get potassium from other foods. So potassium is definitely in other fruits and vegetables and other foods. Bananas is just one fruit that is very high in potassium, I would say. But other fruits, I would say, are apricots, prunes, raisins. Orange juice is also one of them. Any other fruits? I think that's it for fruits. Apples do have a little potassium in them, but of course not a lot. And then for your, your protein, plant-based protein sources, so lentils also have potassium. Soybeans have potassium. Also soy milk, so that would be nuts. And then for vegetables, there's squash, potatoes. Potatoes are high in potassium. Spinach, broccoli, tomatoes, asparagus. Yeah, so those all have potassium in them. So as you can see, a lot of fruits and vegetables do have potassium in them, and all of them that I did list besides apples are high in potassium. So what that means is that there's 201 to 300 milligrams per serving of potassium. So it does go by serving size, right, for potassium, but that is on the higher end. So there are other foods that may have potassium in them. You just have to eat more of them, right, to get the potassium, how much potassium you need, right? And for potassium, Of course, there is always a general recommendation. So there's always an RDA for all your nutrients, for macro and micronutrients. But for runners, it really depends on running and exercising, right? How much you're sweating. It kind of it may vary a little bit for potassium, how much you need. So those are just some foods that are high in potassium. So those might be helpful if you're someone too that may not like bananas. So I just wanted to talk about that. If you are just joining, let me know you're here. Wave. Give me a thumbs up, say hey, let me know that you're joining and that you're on. I see a couple people on, which is awesome. Hi. Tonight I'm doing a Q&A, so if you guys have any questions, just type them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. So, see, another question though that I did get was also about calories. So I also want to talk a little bit about calories. Hi, Scotty. Thanks for joining. So with calories, calories are also something that's very important. I actually just had a conversation with my coach, and I was telling me, doesn't get too in-depth into nutrition, really. But of course, he still advises, a lot of his athletes to make sure that we're getting enough calories, that we're, eating the right foods, getting carbs, fats, all that stuff, right? Protein. But we had a discussion about calories, and my client also asked me about how do I get enough calories, or how much calories do I need? So this is a very good question. As I said, I just had this conversation too with my coach, telling him that I think I'm going to have to really increase my calories for my running, especially if my training is going to pick up and I'm going to be running more miles. And he's like, yes, it definitely is going to, because you're going to be running 40 miles a week, which for me is a lot. I'm usually between 20 and 25, maybe 20 to 30 miles a week. So eventually when I get up to those 40 miles a week running, I'm going to be burning a lot of calories, right? And, of course, it also depends if you're running for weight loss or if you're running to maintain your weight. That can definitely make a difference too. But I know for me, I will need to make sure that I do, eat enough to maintain my weight, but also for energy, that I'm making sure that I'm eating enough for also to get energy. And I know this can also be a very sensitive topic. And for me, this is also something that's really hard for me to eat more calories. I have, I have a hard time eating more calories. One, I think it's hard for me to have enough time in my day to eat. I really have to plan and really have to make sure that I'm disciplined enough to take breaks to eat. But that can also be really hard. And then the other thing that I feel like is really hard with calories too is just a mental thing. I also, I don't really have like a weight issue or struggle with weight really, but I also, have this little, just mental part of it, right, where I'm thinking I don't want to eat also too many calories because I don't want to gain weight, which is crazy. When I'm running and I'm running this much, I know that is absolutely ridiculous. I shouldn't have to worry about gaining weight. I should be more concerned about losing too much weight and not having enough energy. So there's certainly a balance that I need to find, right, to maintain my weight. Maybe if I lose a couple pounds, that's fine, but I don't want to lose, right, 10 pounds. I don't need to lose that much weight. So I have to make sure too, for energy, that I am eating enough to sustain my energy, to get through my day, to get through my runs, right? So, calories. So back to the question, right? How do you figure out how many calories you need? Well, really, it's just an estimate. Really what it is, but it's calculated. We can calculate it. We can make an estimate of how many calories that you need. And from there, what we can do is you can figure out, how much food that is. Necessarily, you don't have to necessarily calorie count. And I know, I've gotten this question before too. Should I calorie count, right? Because I'm worried that I'm eating too much. I'm not sure if, I'm eating enough, right? Do I need to count my calories? Well, it really depends on what works for you. I know people that have used MyFitnessPal and they track it. They track their food and they track macros and track calories, and that works for them. And there are other people that are like, no, I just couldn't do it, right? And there's other people that, also track their macros and they do macro counting, and that works for them. I know people that, use a portion control system, and that works for them. So it really depends on what works for you. And I'm really trying with my clients to take a different approach of trying to figure out, like, okay, how can we figure out, how many servings you need per meal or per day, right? And then teach portion sizes, right, and exchanges, so how much food that is without without tracking those calories, but knowing like, okay, this is a portion size, this is about how many calories, right? Knowing that, and then being able to really, choose what you want to eat. Maybe you don't want to eat the same food every day, but still understand like exchanges, right? And portion sizes to be able to stay within those calories or eat enough calories, right? Know, okay, this today is a hard workout. Maybe I should have probably 4 servings of carbohydrates throughout my day. So I need to add in, another cup of rice or whatever it is, right? Or I need to eat another piece of bread, right, to get those carbohydrates in, but without really tracking calories. But it's something that you can you can just calculate it. And I can give you that calculation. So if anyone's interested in like, wondering what I'm talking about, or you can also reach out to me and I can help you figure that out. But really it's just a basic calculation. It's going to use your height, your weight, and then your activity level, and you're going to figure out, right, how many calories you need. Also with plant-based eating calories, some people might think, or there might be a myth thinking, how do I eat enough calories on a plant-based diet also to fuel, myself as an athlete? Well, I can tell you it is possible. If anyone has not been following him, but Robbie Bollinger, I hope I'm saying his name right. He just ran, I think it was almost 1,400 miles. Don't quote me on that. I don't exactly know how many miles he ran. Hi, thanks for joining. So Robbie ran all the way across the United States. He ran all the way from California all the way to New York City in 45 days. I believe it was 45 days. And he has been running, I think is it 45 miles a day? I know he's been running, like, he's an ultra marathoner, right? And he's been running like for days and days and days and days. He's a ultra marathon runner, and also a plant-based runner. So he did this to promote plant-based eating, which is absolutely awesome. So I'm shouting Ravi out because he is so cool. He's so awesome for doing what he did, and such an awesome accomplishment for showing what you can do on a plant-based diet, which I think is super, super exciting. To see somebody run that long only eating plants. It's super amazing. And it really is possible. There are also more ultra runners out there. If you're looking for any ultra marathoners, wondering if there are any that aren't a plant-based diet, there are. Rich Roll is one. Scott Jurek, he's another one. They're plant-based ultra marathoners, which is super exciting, super awesome that they are able to fuel their runs through only plants. So I just want to say, that it is possible to eat enough calories, and yes, you may have to eat a lot more food, but that is where planning and meal planning comes into play, and that is also where a coach and someone can really help you too, to get enough calories. Hi, I see everyone giving me thumbs up and saying hi. This is awesome. Love you guys. Ryan, hey, and Scotty, you guys are awesome. Rianne, it's awesome to see you guys here. So thank you so much for joining. So tonight I'm just doing a Q&A, just answering any questions you might have about fueling for your runs, plant-based eating, or maybe you're a runner that's also plant-based. And concerned about your nutrition needs. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can just type them up in the comment section and I will try my best to answer them. But this is awesome. I'm so glad you guys are all here. So those are, if you're just joining, I just went over talking a little bit about potassium and also calories. So for eating plant-based for runners, or as a runner, as you're training. But does anyone have any more questions? Oh, Rayanne said, I'm on week 2 of eating healthy and I'm feeling good. Yay! Awesome. Have you been eating plant-based or more plants, or just generally more healthy eating as in whole foods? But that's awesome. So glad you're feeling better. It is amazing, right, what nutrition can do, how you can feel by just eating more, or eating well, right? Eating better foods. Certainly, of course, you guys know I like to promote plant-based eating and the benefits. I am working on a blog post actually of benefits and challenges of also plant-based eating, especially for runners. There are definitely both benefits and challenges, right? Lots of veggies, haven't had bread, only water, down 11 pounds. Yay! Congratulations! That's awesome. Very, very good. Yay! Hopefully you can keep that going, right? Awesome. That's very, very cool. Does anyone have any other questions? Haven't worked out yet. So this is right. I haven't worked out yet, but changing my eating has given me a great start. Yay! Yes, that is a great start, right? For anyone that's just starting to, start, wanting to be healthier. Changing your diet up and changing the way you eat is definitely a great start. Even if you're not somebody that has been working out, of course, or normally to working out, of course, you guys know that I am a big runner and been training for a marathon. So I'm talking more, more and more to athletes, right? But of course, somebody that's just starting out, changing your diet and eating better is definitely a great first step. And then trying to transition, to being more active, because doing it all at once can be, if your body's not used to it. Yes, trying to eat healthy and then trying to work out and doing something that you're not used to and is not a habit for you. Yes, it's going to be hard to do, and it's easier to make those changes and steps, right? Definitely easier to start making those little changes as possible, starting with a diet and then, increasing, working out. Even walking is absolutely amazing for you, which is it really is really good. I've been trying to keep track of my steps and realize if I do not run, I am terrible at walking. I do not get a lot of steps in, because when I didn't get my runs in, I did not get very many steps in, which is terrible. But that is kind of something that I should work on too, because right, I should still be making sure that I'm not too sedentary, even though I am running, right? That I still walk too, and don't just sit all the time and then run. That's also not the best or so healthy either. So anyways, if you're still with me, thank you for still being on. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer about fueling for your running, for your runs? I don't know if I see anybody on here that is a runner. A couple of you, I think, are. Yes, you are. A couple of you are runners. Come on, you guys have to have some questions about nutrition and running, fueling for your runs. No? Man, you guys must be doing good, which is great. It's great if you feel like you're doing great and eating enough calories and, getting the right foods is definitely important. Another conversation I had just with my coach was, about running and fueling is, how important it really is, and you don't really realize it until either you don't feel the right way, right? And don't eat enough or anything, then you realize and then when you do, you realize, wow, I recover so much better if I eat the right foods right after I run. Like when after I run, I have protein, I just feel a lot better, but I don't always, right? And it doesn't help you to recover as quickly either. And that's what's important too when you really get into training and really getting into more of, really trying to hit race times or, really, really trying to push, really trying to train. And that's kind of where I am. I've been running for a very long time and I love running races, but I've always run them for fun. Haven't really pushed myself to my full potential. In this year, running and business-wise, I will say I'm really trying to push myself, and it is super scary. It is something I'm trying to do way out of my comfort zone, not even knowing if it's possible or if I can really do it. I'm just in this mode where I'm believing I am where I want to be on the other side and just saying, okay, let's do this, right? But it is scary. It can be really scary to, just want to reach your full potential. But anyways, with running, I've realized, the more I get into this running and this training and really start getting more serious, even as much I don't want to say that, but I am, and I have to be mindful of making sure that I am eating the right foods before, after my runs, eating right when, the timing, and then what I eat is so important. So, yay, Scott, you gave me a question. Yay. Should you avoid bread somewhat as in carb intake? That's a really good question. So, I think more than bread is fine, right? But I would say it's more about, making sure you have that balance of carbohydrates. Because you need carbohydrates, right? That is where your muscles are going to get their fuel. So it's glycogen, right, is what helps your muscles for running. So you need carbohydrates, right? But I don't think, carbs do have a lot of bread, but it really depends on the rest of your diet. I don't eat a lot of bread just because I know it has a lot of carbs. And if I'm not going on a long run that day, but I'm also eating veggies and fruits, which I know also have carbs, I feel like that could be too much. But it really depends, right? It depends also on that day of your workout or run, what it looks like. If I'm going on a longer run, 10 or more miles, I might want to fuel my body with more pasta and bread and those kind of foods more than I normally would. Maybe just an easy run that I might not feel okay, I really need to have too many extra carbs. But my coach also advises, bumping up before races, bumping up your carb intake. So yeah, bread is fine to have, right? If you want to bump up your carb intake, but you also don't you know, you may not also need as much more carbs as you think, just because in general, our diet, you know, the American diet, of course, is very heavily in carbs. So, you know, you may think, okay, I need to eat more carbs, or I'm running, so I need to eat more carbs, but really you need to find that balance, because it really depends on what you're eating and depends on that workout, the run that day. It really is so dependable. So Scott, thank you for that question. I hope that answered your question. That's a great question. But yeah, carbohydrates are difficult. And you know, in creating, like, you know, like I was saying, like estimating your calories and creating meal plans. So this is what I do. We can also help figure out the macro breakdown. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep track of macros, like I was explaining before. If that's something that you're like, that's not going to happen, I'm not going to keep track of that, that's okay. Like, we can work around that. We can figure out the exchanges. We can figure out, okay, how many servings of carbohydrates should you have today, based on your workout. And that can, you know, help you. And then I could figure out those exchanges in that serving by figuring out the percentage, or the macros, as in like percentage of carbohydrate, how many calories. So what I mean when I say macro breakdown is how many calories should be coming from carbohydrates. So when you, I don't know. Oh well. Oh, there we go. Technology. Okay. I had to plug in my phone before it dies. So as I was saying, when I'm mentioning macros, and when I'm talking about macros, is I'm talking about the breakdown of how many calories should come from certain macros. So your macros, if you're unfamiliar, right, is your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein. So we can break that down and figure out the percentage of what you need. So if you need 20% protein, you know, 45% carbs, whatever it is, we can take those percentages, break them down into calories and also grams. And that's where you can break it down even more into portion sizes and serving sizes. And that's how you can create a meal plan. So hope that was helpful. I hope you guys are following. Sometimes I'm not really sure if I'm even following myself and how I talk. But hopefully that was helpful. So, all right. Awesome. Any other questions? I love that you guys are on. I'm so excited. We usually don't have as many people on, which is great. So if you are still here, thank you so much. I appreciate it very, very much that you guys are tuning in. And hoping you got some information, value out of this video, and got some information. And as always, I just want to let you guys know that I am coaching clients one-on-one. So if you are interested in, you know, working together, I provide more than just a meal plan. No, I don't want to just give you a meal plan and expect you to follow it, right? My program, what it does is I work with you. You know, for months. It's not just a one and done thing, which is really cool that I'm able to do this. I can work with you, right, one-on-one, and figure out what works for you. Figure out what works, and it may be trial and error. It may be, you know, just something that we have to figure out what works. We have to figure out, okay, you know, we've estimated these numbers, percentage of carbohydrates, but maybe this was not enough carbohydrates on this day because you know, just felt like you ran out a little bit of fuel, right? So it can be trial and error, of course. There's always that thing, that, you know, happens. Everything's just an estimate. But of course, you know, just having somebody to support, you know, give you accountability, things like that. I can help work with you and figure out, okay, how can we fuel your runs the best to help you perform the best? And that is really what my goal is, to help you guys. So anyways, I am taking on clients for June. So I would love, love, love